All right. Good morning, you cool cats and kittens out there. Welcome on this Sunday morning, June 5th, 2022. And we're starting the show approximately at 8:45. And I hope you sit down and join me for a cup of coffee before you get started on this beautiful, beautiful weekend outside. Unfortunately, I am going into work after this, which is one of the reasons we're on early and we were almost up earlier, but you know how it is. So it's been an eventful week and actually was able to get out yesterday. I'm going to show a few things that I got last Monday, which was Memorial Day. We ended up hitting a few local yard sales, I guess is what we could call them. Before I get into the fantastic flea market I hit yesterday. Um, it was, as always, many things where I was like, oh, just enjoy your day, lounge around the house and stuff, save your money. And then we didn't sleep much the night before on Friday night. And then I was up wide awake at 6 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. I was like, what is wrong with me? I can't even do this for work. So I ended up, I don't know, getting up about 6:30, heading out and hit the Dublin Flea Market, which is going on right now. It's June 4th and 5th. They do it twice a year. The next one's in September. And that's the flea market I really enjoy. And I don't know what stars aligned for me and stuff, but I somehow made that trip from my house there in like an hour and 10 minutes, which should be impossible. Then somehow I made it home in an hour. This should be impossible. Okay. But it's neither here nor there. I'm still trying to put all that together. But anyway, it was a wonderful time, a wonderful flea market. And I'm getting to be an old man, guys. I'm getting to be an old man because I got there about, I think it was like 10 after 8 or something in the morning, and I was done by about 11:45. Even stopped to eat on the way back. Still made great time getting home, and I was home for about 30 minutes. Like I might as well do a show, and I ended up taking a nap. I'm an old man. Hey Charleston, what's going on, brother? I'm about to show something here that you sent me. What's going on? So we got a lot of fantastic stuff, great prices, and actually with my budget, I think I came up to spending $50 at the flea market. Actually got some keys and some great deals, and that's usually what I'm most proud about. And hopefully, you guys out there that are frugal like me can appreciate this stuff, right? But I am going to say I may be flea marketed out. I may be done for the summer. I'm ready to go kayaking and hiking, which I've only done once in the last month, which puts me behind for what I usually do during the summer. And unfortunately, guys, we're going to get through this stream and then my butt is going to work. And I just really hope I can reach down and find, I want to put my feet on the ground, think about all my regrets. And then I want to also remember why I have to work because I got like bills to pay. So hopefully I can ignore the beautiful weather outside and actually get some stuff done. So let's get to it, man. And I'm so glad, Charlton, you're out there, brother. I'm so glad you're here. We got to get you on here for a stream sometime where we can just like shoot the shit. Okay, man. But Charleston66, make sure you check out his channel. Lots of great stuff. He's currently reorganizing his comic book room. Very dedicated, been doing it for a while. Definitely hit him up on Instagram also. He is showing some great stuff as he reorganizes his fantastic room. Okay, so let's get on with it. Usually I BS around waiting for people to show up to give them time. We're not having good light this morning. Let's see what we can do about that. This may be too much. That is too much. All right. So anyway, what we have here is, I'm so glad Charlton got there, but I got a message from Charlton. He sent me an issue of this back issue magazine, number 14. Going way back with Tomorrow's Publishing on this one. And of course, we know I am a huge Legion of Superheroes fan. So of course I was like, yes, I want this. And not only does it have some great Mike Grail sketches and stuff going way back and articles on the Legion of Superheroes, but this thing covers. Um, I've flipped through it. I'm actually taking my time going through this. But this was one of those books that feels like it was just cookie cutter made for me. Got the Legion, we got Planet of the Apes, we got Hercules Unbound, some 70s stuff. from DC that Walt Simonson came on and did some great redesigns on. Uh, we have Kill Raven, just fantastic stuff. Where is the science fiction comics of the 70s? Just some great Marvel art and stuff. But like I said, it's got Commandy in it, Zek, just oh man, just fantastic stuff. Dale Keown, Hex when he was in the when they had that short run where they turned him into Mad Max, more or less, in the 80s. A series of comics that didn't run very long, maybe 14, 15 issues or something like that. And I regret every day that I got rid of them. Star Wars, Al Williamson, and like I said, Commandy. I don't know, man. I go back and forth with is this my favorite series? I go back and forth with that and Starman. So anyway, thank you so much, Charlton 66. It is being enjoyed, it is being savored, and I'm taking my time with it. So thank you so much. All right, so now for a few things that I got at the flea market here. Well, let's do some yard sale stuff here first, all right? I got the comics mixed up in there, so I'll identify those as we go along. But yeah, I still have a cassette collection. And I also keep a VHS collection going. And I tell you what, the nostalgia has really been hitting because I've got the Netflix again. Hey, Gray, man, what's going on? I got the Netflix again. Couldn't help it, but I waited this time. And it's because they have Stranger Things season 4 out. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. As far as I'm concerned with Stranger Things, the first season is gold. Those kids are the same age I was during that era, from what I can tell, doing the same things, the bikes, the D&D, talking about comics and stuff in that first season and everything like that. We were a bit, I don't know what the word is. We weren't as wholesome as they are still, back then. But, it's a show with kids, so who knows what they're doing. But I went ahead, I'm not a big Netflix fan. There's so much better stuff out there to stream, in my opinion. But I got to say, Stranger Things season 4, second best season. Fourth season, second best season. They have a character of Eddie. And as somebody who was 13 years old in 1986, so maybe I'm not the same age as those kids. It's hard to tell. I mean, they got kids that are 27 and 30 years old playing teenagers right now. But I'm sitting there like watching this, and if there is ever somebody who epitomized 1986, it is Eddie. So let's wish him well. I feel things aren't going to go well for Eddie when they come back in July with the last 2 episodes for the finale. So let's I'm going to have a drink for Eddie here and hope for the best. But anyway, going back to the 80s and stuff, man, I was a huge cassette fan. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, could not afford the CDs when they first came out. And it really surprised me how long CDs have been around. So when I'd go to my friend's house, basically we were playing D&D and they had the CDs and everything like that. It was like, wow, it was a moment. So it'd still be a few years. But we got what I consider a band who I called them a one-hit wonder one time and had a very scathing conversation where I was corrected, man. We got Europe with the Final Countdown. Found these at a yard sale. The guy had all kinds of stuff, man. It was like 1988 and 89 forever with the cassettes he had left over. I kind of pictured that the guy had his daughter probably like move out and he's selling her stuff, or something. And we got Queen live at Wembley 1986. This will be played. I will be digging out. I have 3 record players. If you go to my Instagram and scroll way back and stuff, you saw them as I've acquired them, man. But I have, I think, an 86 set with a cassette player, dual cassette player, record player, radio. And then I have another one that's a this CD with cassette player and record player. Then I have just a record player I've had since the 90s and stuff, right? Also was able to find this, I haven't dug into these, see what these are, but we have some Garbage Pail Kids that I found for 50 cents, foil stamped. I still have Muscles, if you remember those, and Garbage Pail Kids from the 80s that I had. So these will be going into the little album I have to keep my cards. So sorry about the light this morning, man. We're going to get a new setup here pretty soon, right? Very thin, feels like a sticker. But I found the guy on Facebook or Instagram who actually designed these. And for you, now, why am I showing these in a comic book video? Well, just to put it simply, Art Spiegelman, I think, was the creator of. There's a Three Stooges. Oh God, there's a Three Stooges one. Art Spiegelman was actually the creator of these. The guy who did Mouse, also, created Garbage Pail Kids. I'm pretty sure. Maybe I should have Googled that because I've never really looked that up to confirm it. So anyway, it was cool to find those for 50 cents a piece, even though they're probably not vintage. Another thing I found was the Brightest Day Flash, which I thought was fantastic. Let me move some light over here. We'll get some light closer, guys. There we go. Maybe not. Oh, no. Well, that's as good as it's going to get because we had a disaster hit. Anyway, for $2, I found a Brightest Day Flash complete with Speed Force, and this is going to look very fine with what I got as a gift. What I would be amazed is that I believe was a more expensive Flash. So I'm going to do a little display back here or something with those to play around with. Something about the Flash. I was always a fan of his when I was a kid. And then our VHS tape, we got, I can't wait to pop these in. I've checked them out. They don't have the mold in them. And I'll be able to tell where the other person stopped. But we got Gatchaman, Battle of the Planets for you 70s kids in America. So I just thought that was fantastic to have to add to the Gatchaman collection. And then for you kids out there, there was a time that MTV showed videos all the time. And when they had MTV Video Awards, it actually made sense. So I about fell down when I found these. These were 50 cents a piece. When I found this is the 3rd Annual Music Television Awards, featuring award-winning clips by Dire Straits, Don Henley, Bryan Adams, Tina Turner. That's a great song that they do. Pet Shop Boys, Robert Palmer, Aha, and more. So, yeah, the Boys of Summer and It's Only Love. So that was fantastic to find. So, like I said, between Stranger Things and finding this stuff, these things at yard sales and stuff, I'm having a huge wave of nostalgia going on. Okay, what do we got here? What do we got here? Let's do what I found at a yard sale. At the same a yard sale on Monday before we get to the other stuff, right? I think all these are together. They may not. So I found one person selling some comics. This is on Memorial Day, and these were a little bit less than $1 a piece because I ended up giving them like $5 for this whole stack or something. But I grabbed this Heroes Convention 1997. All right. This is just fantastic. I'd already been to a few Heroes Cons in Charlotte, North Carolina. But apparently I missed the good one, the big one in 97. I probably had been married for a year the first time around. And then we had a kid born, I don't know, about a year after this, I think, in 98. So apparently I missed the good one because the program guide is just fantastic. Bless our hearts, we have George Perez here. This is original. A lot of this stuff is original art. Mark Wade did a forward for this. He was at Heroes Con probably about 7 or 8 years ago, I think. But we go through here and they're announcing their fan awards, what's going on. But what blew me away was the fact that out of all the guests they had, like I said, there's a lot of original art they did for these program guides. Chick Stone, Mark Hamilton, David Finch. I really was surprised how long David Finch has been in comics. It just, gosh, the guy just feels like he's, I don't know, he's so fresh and new. I know I look at his art and I compare a lot of it to Mark Silvestre, but he does some great live streams where he's drawing on YouTube. Go to his channel. Strangers in Paradise and Terry Moore. But apparently, I had no clue. There was no internet back then. I wasn't on a mailing list. Well, there was internet, but we didn't have internet news. It was email and dial up, and I can go on and on about that. But anyway, I missed the year that Neil Gaiman was there. So that would have been cool. So yeah, that's why I love these program guides when I find them. I'm like, yeah, why not? Let's just go ahead and get that. All right, and speaking of Terry Moore that I was talking about, I'm coming closer to completing the Strangers in Paradise run by Terry Moore. Tell you what, man, there's if you get nostalgic for the '90s, yeah, you need to go ahead and get the first 2 or 3 volumes of Strangers in Paradise, even though we're well into the 2000s here. But we were counting down to the last issue. That's number 70, number 66, 65. And you either are going to like Stranger in Paradise or you're not. It's a very interesting. I love the series, even though I'm probably not the main audience for it with the way things work out. But these are beloved with Catchu. We have beloved characters, a lot of soap opera-ish 90s feel relationship stuff going on. Catchu is actually a secret agent who ends up getting pulled into missions every now and then. And of course, they were counting down to issue 90. Now, I have a lot of these in trade. So as I get closer to completing the run, the more I'm getting more comfortable with probably selling it one day. And then I got this Justice Society number 43 right before the DC 52 hit. We were coming out of Blackest Night and Brightest Day, and they did the obligatory Justice Society of America crossover with Justice League of America. Justice League of America at the time was being written by James Robinson, drawn by Mark Bagley, and then who the hell knows? Well, apparently he wrote this issue of Justice Society of America also. But anyway, Jeff Johns had left Justice Society of America, and they brought in Bill Willingham and a few other people, and it just became a mess of a book. But I need this to complete the crossover and stuff because there was things going on with characters I followed since the 80s. Obsidian, Jade, Golden Age, Green Lantern, Alan Scott there. But this is like an epilogue of the crossover they had going on. So that was cool to find. Bag boarded, didn't smell funny. And it was just fantastic stuff. Man, we got all kinds of people coming up this morning. Let's check contents. We have the Gray Man here. Great to see you, sir. We have my pleasure. Oh, thanks, Steve. Yep, I appreciate that. Oh man, John is here. Be like John, have the bell on so you can catch everything. Europe, RA one hit wonder. Thank you, Gray Man. Where were you when I had that big conversation and almost got schooled? Almost got schooled. I started realizing that I was like, this guy has come. When I had the conversation, the guy had like. He was a huge Europe fan, and he just had information that I was not aware of. I was not loaded for battle that day. I was not prepared. Morning. I'll catch you returning in the fall in Parker Girls. Fantastic. Thank you, Gorbadal. Thank you. Oh, man, I will definitely try to check that out. That is fantastic. Catchu is one of those iconic comic book characters that nobody knows about unless you either know or you don't know. But she's a fantastic character, right? Okay, so let's do the comic book haul, and I'll try to see how I have these stacks. Now, European comics. Okay, European comics, I love when I find them, even if the reprints here in America from the 80s and stuff like that. It's very cool. I realize if you watch my channel, you know I've been in comics forever. I have a lot of comic knowledge, whatever. I'm pretty humble about it. And I'm always seeking to find new things and learn more and get into the comic book history and stuff. So I still consider myself a student of this hobby. Okay. So it's always fascinating to me when we had a lot more. If you go way back in the comic book community, we had a lot of English guys on here. And I think I and maybe 1 or 2 other people, and I was the main guy there that was like, you guys need to do a live stream together. You need to do a live stream together. So there was Ghost Critic, Mark, and 3 or 4 other people. I think there was 4 of them, and they actually had a British live stream for a while. And I started figuring out that a lot of them, even though they had 2000 AD and characters that felt iconic over here in America, mainly because of Anthrax, the band, who I get to see this fall and in September. I'm very excited. Yeah, they had Judge Dredd, the song "I Am the Law," and that's really what opened up. It was heavy metal that opened up that there were European comics and stuff. Even though we were getting Alan Moore and Alan Davis, and Neil Gaiman was on the rise, going back to the '80s and stuff. It was Anthrax with "I Am the Law" that got me curious and stuff, right? So when I find these Eagle comics and Quality comics, I'll usually grab them if they're in really good shape. I've got a whole short box of these reprints: 2000 AD Monthly, Robo Hunter. Um, I was surprised they did the Stainless Steel Rat because those were a set of novels in the house that I read that the stepdad had. But anyway, I got 2000 AD. We got some DR and Quench from Alan Moore with Alan Davis art. But I love that we get Dread comics and all of them. Really love Dread. Huge fan of Judge Death. That's why I can't handle the Batman who laughs. I've given him a chance, but all I see is Judge Death when I look at him. I can't do it. So anyway, I probably have a trade of all the Judge Death stories or a bunch of them. So I'm sure I already have this. But like I said, I got these yesterday. I haven't really gone through them. But here's some DR and Quench with some early Alan Moore stuff. This fantastic stuff, right? Here we go. 2000 AD Monthly #4. I think these are from '86 for us. Brett Ewings, excuse me. Yeah, these are from 1986. So yeah. And then, yes, I did a scathing review of the Ballad of Halo Jones. I did a scathing review. I can't stand the book. It's the one I finally found something from Alan Moore that I feel is unreadable, and I totally get what he was trying to do. Ask questions. I was actually a little obsessed there for like about a week and a half. Like, what is this crap? What is this, right? But I'm always willing to give it a chance. So I have the first. They reprinted the Ballad of Halo Jones stories from 2000 AD and wherever else they popped up into trades multiple times, but it comes down to 3 volumes is what I found, right? So I believe these Quality comics, there was 12 issues. So I've got a few issues that go beyond the the 2 volumes that I read where I feel like nothing was happening. Halo Jones wasn't even the protagonist in her own stories, and everything was going on around her, and she was just useless in mine. Yet people came in and they did defend her, which I have no problem with. You love a character, you love a character. Just come at me with facts and story. Tell me. But all I ever heard was like she was great, but nobody could tell me her accomplishments. Well, apparently in volume 3, she gets involved into a war, is what I was told, and that's where things really happen. So I'll be able to play around with these, and if I end up liking, I double dipped. I found it was so wild for the comics that I found because actually stuff that was on the back of my mind that I have never seen anywhere else, and then I find multiples of them cheap, $1.50, whatever. So I ended up double dipping at 2 different booths for #3, but what are you going to do? So yeah, I get to go in there and check out some further adventure. Yeah, see, I have this one. This is the murderous robot dog. But anyway, so hopefully, maybe hopefully I can get past all that and check out some of this stuff, right? So yeah, Halo Jones. Right here, I definitely think this goes into volume 3, and of course, we get some great Judge Dredd stories again. But Tim, you haven't read them. How do you know they're great? Well, it's Judge Dredd. you know. So anyway, some more Halo Jones stuff, and they actually give you books. I love how they, for me who, it's 30 some, it's closer to 40 years than 30 years that these books came out. So it's great to see all the things that they had coming out at Quality Comics if I want to go back and check it out. Like I said, I'm gonna get a new setup and eventually get a new camera or something here, right? So we can see the books that came out. That's, to me, this is the best way to advertise comics that you have selling. Show, don't tell. Because a lot of the Bronze Age DC stuff that I read as a kid that was in the house and into the 80s, it was the ads where they actually showed the covers in the books that made me want to track those down. I don't know how many Superboy and the Legion of Superhero books I wanted to track down because they showed the cover. You know what I mean? And things like that. So, on my quest to pick back up, I was with Stray Bullets in the 90s. This is David Lapham. And Gore Vidal is out there. So, I noticed something here with this. This came out in the 90s. It's the Return of the Crime comic. And Stray Bullets is something you just need to go ahead and read. Look up a review. I'm not going to review it because I know there's reviews out there on YouTube. why do we need another video, right? But when Stray Bullets came on, I was a fan of David Latham from his Valiant years, his Defiant comic years. Unfortunately, uh, I don't know what it was, 12, 13, 14 years ago, he actually made it to Detective Comics, did some mainstream comics writing stuff, and they were horrible, which surprised me because I was excited because Stray Bullets is so good. All I could think is people are going to avoid his stuff because of how bad this was. It felt like huge drama at the time. I was in my late 30s, man. Come on, still a kid. But anyway, there were 40 issues of the original Stray Bullets series. It took a couple years to get these out. I think that was like a bi-monthly book. I'm going way back. I don't know, but I enjoy them, and they were on my pull list in a comic shop for the first 15 issues, and then all of a sudden something happened. Things went awry. I don't know. So I've been picking them up, trying to get all 40 issues of the original one. They're fantastic, right? So I was real happy to find these. 17, 19. But Stray Bullets is one of those books. But now that Gore Vidal is out there, as I was reading this, I don't know if it was the art style or the slice of life storytelling that's involved in them. Because when things go bad, they go back. There's a few issues that are a little bit psychedelic to a certain extent, very metaphorical. It's been forever since I've read them stuff. But I feel like these are in the tone, or I feel like these are influenced. I feel like there's an influence of Love and Rockets in here with the art style and everything. I started seeing Hernandez brothers when I was flipping through these two issues. Could be just too many comics, too many years and stuff, right? Not sure why I got this one. Moving on to Justice League stuff, I highly recommend. I still got the comics. I was there for the 6 years, and it amazes me. I still need Justice League of America number 32, which I swore I had. I don't know. Maybe I made a mistake when I was logging in my comics and cataloging them, right? But I ended up getting this anyway, number 36. So number 36, number 1, because I'm a lover of the series. I was there for the entire 5 years with the Justice League, Giffen, DeMante's years. And I actually got to talk to Keith Giffen a few years ago at Here's Con a little bit about the Justice League in this era. But it had to win me over. The book had to win me over, to be honest with you, and stuff like that. I was checking it out. I was a Justice League fan. My Justice League were the big 7, epic battles and things like that. So when we get in here with this humor that was going totally against the grain with the dark and gritty era of the 80s and stuff, it kept winning me over, I even threw number 4 when they introduced Booster Gold in the Justice League across the room. And it's the only time my little brother was ever scared of me because I threw a comic book. He was like, "What was that about?" I said, "They put effing Booster Gold in my book." And he was like, "Oh." And he told me years later, he remembers that moment. But anyway, with number 39, this is supposed to be some key issue where Steel dies, I guess. But anyway, the Adam Shoes cover, I just saw it and it was an impulse buy. It's in such great condition. I have the newsstand that I bought off the rack, but it's such a great series that for some reason I just wanted to give it a home. I don't know why. I looked lonely. Then I was really surprised to find this. It is a first print. A lot of the Bone issues, the earlier issues and stuff, had multiple prints. And this is Bone number 3. I love Bone. Unfortunately, there are certain issues I think do work better in black and white, traditionalists. And then, you have the people that don't want the works messed with. They think they're better how they came out originally. And I totally get that. There's books that I think are fantastic that shouldn't be messed with, but what can so I emphasize is what I'm trying to say. I feel you out there, right? But anyway, but with Bone, unfortunately, I like the Scholastic editions where they're colored, and it's a very soft coloring. It's not quite watercolor, don't get me wrong, but they're colored correctly for the tone of the book and everything. So when I go back and read Bone, I prefer to go into the colors, right? Issue 16 is an issue of Bone. If you go back and dig through your books, or, if you haven't read Bone, I have to ask why not. Issue 16 is the issue that should not have been colored. It works in black and white, and actually was able to talk to Terry Moore, listen to me, able to talk to Jeff Smith at Heroes Con years ago about that issue, and had a fantastic 10-minute talk with him. A lot of information in that 10 minutes. But anyway, but I was first print. I haven't looked up to see how many printings of this was. But what's bad about this is that in the back of this, you could go back, issue 13 of Bone. It's supposed to be bi-monthly, but it took years to get the complete story out there. But what is sad about this is that if you were on board from the get-go, You could purchase Bone 1 through 13 straight from Cartoon Books to catch up for $2.95 a piece. You could have had Bone number 1, which is a pricey book, for cover price. Uh, almost 2 years, 3 years after it, well, 2.5 years after it came out. Um, that kills me when I see things like that. Oh. All righty, see who's out here. We've got a few more things to show. Oh, Charleston66. What happened to Ghost Critic? I enjoyed his content. His name is Mark, and he's on my Facebook. And he's, I don't know, he's still alive. Complains about work a lot. So I don't know. I think he just got sick of everything that was going on, the drama that had entered the community a couple years ago. And the fact that he's kept me on Facebook, I guess, okay. Prime One Collector, awesome. Going to see Anthrax, Black Level Society, and Hatebreed in August. We're going to the Blue Ridge Music Festival. That's a 3 or 4 day event in September. Tons of bands, but I'm waiting for the schedule to come out because I'm looking for Alice Cooper. The man's in his 70s. I've tried to see him 3 times since the 90s, and he always cancels. But what was cool is I got a 3-hour show out of the Scorpions for him canceling, and about an extra half hour out of White Zombie, not Rob Zombie, White Zombie, due to him canceling. I got extended shows of the other acts that were with him. But anyway, they're going to have Alice Cooper, Anthrax, and here I am going blank. We'll move on. But anyway, the Blue Ridge Mountain Music Festival is coming up, and it's some hardcore death metal, thrash, and things like that. And somehow they snuck in 3 doors down. And I thought that was funny. But there's only like really 5 acts. Insane Clown Posse is going to be there. My wife and stepson are huge Insane Clown Posse fans. Thus, I'll be seeing them. They have like 3 or 4 songs I like. Okay. The Eagle reprints are fantastic. I have many of them, including Rogue Trooper and, of course, Judge Dredd. Yes. I'm so close to being like a super fanboy of Judge Dredd. I don't know why. It's like you don't pick up a bad story. It's wild. I hated Funny JLA back in the day. I feel you, man. I feel you. I stopped getting it as they made Blue Beetle into a joke. There you go. It's sticking him with freaking Booster. First of all, they had Booster Gold. That's bad enough, right? That's my critique. But they ended up turning the Blue Beetle into a joke, as you said. I'm not a fan of the blue and gold team. Ted Cord deserves better. Okay. We'll just leave it at that. The Sumerian, sweet stuff. I love your name. I love your handle, man. Okay. Sweet stuff. Headed out to the Atlanta Comic Book Convention later today, and we'll be going to Virginia in September to the Blue Ridge Rock Festival to see Ghost, Slipknot, and others. I've seen Ghost in concert, so I hope you enjoy. They're not my cup of tea. But it's the kind of band I look at and I get why other people like them. But I saw them with Iron Maiden. So Ghost opening up for Iron Maiden. I don't think they stood a chance. Maybe my opinion will change. Slipknot, I've had years I liked them. I had years where I was like, and I've had years I liked them. But I tell you what, solid band. I'll definitely want to, even their side projects, man. Fantastic stuff. I'm a music snob. I'm not going to lie. I've had to accept it. Poor you having to watch Scorpions for 3 hours is fantastic. I wasn't even a Scorpions fan. I was like, yeah, but they are a fantastic live band. Fantastic. The Cult. Yes. Oh, I'm not going to run in there and get all my Cult stuff. Seen the Cult in July and Iron Maiden in November. Maiden is going to blow you away. I've never seen the Cult live, man. So let me know how it is. One of my favorite bands from the 80s, man. Oh my gosh. Love Removal Machine, Edie, Rain, She Sells Sanctuary. Nice. That's awesome, man. Love the music talk. Bunch of freaking metalheads here. All right. Okay, man. What do we got here? Let me look. Make sure I don't double dip here. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and show you a few things. There's some keys in here, and there were some smart buys. Man, I dread going to work today, man. I'd rather just hang out here and do this today with you guys. No joke. Okay, so yes, before you is Power Pack number 1. All right. 1984. Blows my mind that this is a book from 1984. and these designs and everything that they got to attract. I found out Louise Simonson, who wrote this, June Brigham and Bob Wiacek. I'm a little nervous. Louise Simonson, believe it or not, who wrote this and helped create this, was born in 1945. She's in her 70s. That blows my mind. And still putting out comics and stuff, right? But anyway, I found this in a 4-pack, and it's pretty sad because the first is all 4 issues. These were $1 a piece. He had them in a 4-pack. I've already took a few out and bagged and boarded them. And two, 3, and 4 are freaking mint. Not so much with issue 1, but he was very smart. He wanted to get rid of this guy wanted to get rid of, I guess, his issues of Power Pack, and knowing that everybody wanted number 1 because it popped a few years ago. I have seen number 1 in quarter, 50-cent, and dollar bins since it came out in 1984. A couple years ago, they announced there might be a show or something going on, and number 1 popped. And I remember I was in Kingsport, Tennessee, at a comic book convention, and there were people walking around trying to play it cool, looking for Power Pack number 1, being like, that was just a good book when I was a kid, and I saw right through them. You know what I mean? This was the rise of the spec. But anyway, it's got some issues that look like these. If you remember the spinner racks, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, where people will grab these and flip through behind them, trying to see what's behind them on the spinner rack. And that's the flaws in this one. So it's got some color breaks and ticks along the spine. Other than that, a little yellowing on the pages, but I have it. I couldn't pass it up when I saw it because I passed it up for decades. Now, here's the thing. I got through, started reading this. I don't know if it's the quality of comics over the last, we'll say, 7 years. I know we can go all the way back to 2010 for some people that have been around, but we'll go back. I'm gonna say to 2015, and I can't believe I'm saying this. Not a bad book. So, I'm going. I'm having an existential crisis because I read a few pages of issue number 1 and stuff, and I'm like, this isn't bad. I'm like, all those years and stuff. I'm not saying it's great, but I'm like, this really isn't bad. Maybe I don't know. I'm not gonna try to fix my I'm not going to fix this chaos in my soul right now, here and now, but not a bad book at all. I really hope I don't find myself. I've got a lot of Power Pack issues that are crossovers with Mutant Massacre and a few things. They kind of, tied them into the X books a little bit, had Wolverine, Sabretooth pop up. That was my problem. I don't see how a bunch of little kids can sneak out every night. So I guess I need to see how they fix that and stuff. And then, of course, they did the thing where they switched all the kids' powers, I guess, whatever. No, your eyes do not deceive you. And the little story behind this one that makes me very happy. And I had to correct myself because I was going through it. But I think we know what this is. And if you don't, this is Jason Todd Robin. He is now Red Hood. This was his death. And I looked at the guy when I saw this, and he didn't have the issue before, but he had the issue after. And he had this for $25. Okay. At a flea market, which I'm finding out that at flea markets, the new dollar books are $2 books, and you really got to haggle with them because of the price of gas, I guess. But what's interesting about this is that I actually had a good time buying this more than acquiring this. Now, the story with this is that if you go way back, we moved around a lot when I was a kid around the same area. Okay. And it was about 3 or 4 miles, but I would walk down to this convenience store because we were out in the middle of nowhere. But we had an unfinished basement and stuff that we did whatever we wanted to do and stuff. But I would walk down to this one little convenience store that everybody used up in this holler, if you will. There's your little Appalachian. But I went down there and I saw these, and I saw Jim Starlin was drawing it, Mike Manola covers, and Jim Aparo insides. And I saw every month I would see these in. They had they didn't have a spinner rack; they had a magazine rack with probably about 16 comics, I guess, a month, give or take. And I saw these, and I didn't get them. Why? Because I wanted to get Captain Atom number 1, 2, and 3 because I figured that set of comics. Number 2s back then were worth more than number 1s because they cut the orders, they would order a huge amount, print a huge amount of number ones, then less of number two, and even less of number three. Yeah, yeah, I said that. Captain Adam, Pat Broderick art and stuff like that. I still have those books, right? So yeah, I'm like, these will be worth money, and I'm like, they're not really killing Robin. Later on, as this story was going on, I would get off the bus when I was going to go to my grandmother's house in the middle of town, and I actually used the payphone at a Magic Mart to call in and vote to kill Robin. And what was so funny about it is I know it was a toll-free number and stuff, and I actually got through, but when I hung up the phone, I remember change coming back out of the payphone, for you guys that remember that. So I helped to vote out Jason Todd, guys. I'm one of them, Oh man, just wild. I mean, that feels like my claim to fame. And a lot of those times, those numbers would only work in certain places. Like I found out if you wanted to do dial MTV back in the day, for you guys that remember that, you did the top 10 every night. They would take calls all day, and everybody got to vote for what video they wanted for an hour, 6 to 7 on MTV. I never got through, and I got told it's because those numbers actually work in cities. I was surprised that this number actually worked. Anyway. So I get to the flea market and I see this, and he's, I'm like, oh, why not? But I wasn't happy with the price. So he let me open the book. I showed him the ticks. It's the same thing. This thing was on a newsstand forever. It's got the little bend up here where somebody was digging through the spinner rack, and it's got the ticks where it was a little bit bent. And this is what was so cool about it. At the flea market, everybody's dollar books were now $2. There's people, as always, selling stuff that somebody wiped their ass with, and they're trying to act like it was gold. And I mean, I was still finding some good deals, and people were still working with me and stuff. And then I looked at this guy, and he told me to throw a number at him. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go into why I had to stop doing that with these people, right? I want to see if they know what they're talking about and stuff. Then I can go. Don't put the ball in my court too quick, right? And I had a number in my head. Then he came up with the same number, and that's why I didn't try to go down. I thought that was fair. So I got a fair price for this. And now I have it. And I don't know. I feel like I have laid to rest that month of those couple of months of like where I voted to kill Jason Todd, and then I skipped buying the books because Captain Adam was going to be the book. Okay, so 50-cent fine for this one. Don't know if there's any fans of the book. Don't know if anybody knows what this is, but for half a second, it felt like everybody was crazy about this Anarchy character that popped up in Batman. And it's actually a little kid who's doing his version of V for Vendetta a little bit, I think. That's how I remember it and stuff, right? So I found this one guy in a horse stable, and he had a whole bunch of tools, rusty old tools, bolts, and everything. And all these guys were going through finding these tools and stuff like that. I guess they're going to restore them. And then in the middle of it, in a dusty old box, he's got a bunch of 90s Superman and Batman books for 50 cents a piece. And I was able to save this from it for 50 cents. So it is a key. It's the first appearance of Anarchy. He had the second part of the story, and that thing was beat up, not happening. But Norm Brayfogle, I feel like, is one of the underrated Batman artists. And I go back and forth on it and stuff, right? He drew Batman forever in a lot of different ways. I don't feel like he ever got credit for what he did. But at the same time, I get why he doesn't catch people's eye. You know what I mean? Batman has just had so many creative people on it, it's really hard to stick out. So yeah, Norm Brayfogle, underrated artist. All right. This surprised me. I didn't know what this was, and I sort of remember things going on with issue 13s at Image Books. Everybody switched books around issue for a month or something. Jay Lee did an issue of Savage Dragon number 13, and then then Eric Larson did another issue 13 to keep his run going. I remember Mark Silvestre jumped on Spawn for issue 25 or something. Now, this probably has nothing to do with any of those, right? But for some reason, this is issue 13B of Gen 13. And there were a ton, when I looked it up, a ton of variant covers back then. And I could not believe I found the issue where Jeff Smith came in and drew a picture of Bone on on a cover of Gen 13. So I'm going to have to look up and see what that event was. All right, let me see what's going on here. Oh, Gray Man. Cool 66, not seen Maiden in years. Yeah. I got to head out to record my weekly HM podcast now. Good luck, brother. Everybody check out the Gray Man. Now, this story here at the flea market, yeah, it was good to find these books right off the bat. This is Electra Assassin. I think I got these for maybe a buck a piece. I don't know. Electra Assassin number 3 and 4. Books I thought I had. I thought I had this entire run finished and done with of Electra Assassin. Then I find out I didn't have this one. I'm thinking I ran across it a bunch of times. So it was in bad shape. Frank Miller, Bill Sienkiewicz, and revisiting over the last couple years of picking up more and more epic comics from that line that weren't available to me as a kid because these were not on newsstand, I believe. These were direct market only, I think. But I still feel like I saw some on the newsstand growing up here and there, right? But as I grow up, I'm finding myself wanting more and more of this epic line of comics. It's got to be the Archie Goodwin touch. He was over all this line of books, all this stuff, right? Moon Shadow, Six from Sirius, a whole bunch of other stuff that came through down the line on this, right? But anyway, for some reason, it seems like such a chore to complete this one. So after thinking I had this one, probably knew I didn't have this one. I get home, I'm thinking I finally have completed this set, and there's a freaking issue number 8 I don't have. I'm like, what is going on? So yeah, I'll be glad to find issue number 8. I'm about ready to get online and order it. I'm tired of looking at stuff, right? I want to read this. Sienkiewicz and Frank Miller. I heard about this for years. I've dabbled in them. The artwork is amazing. But anyway, now, yes, I already have this. Yes, it's just a more or less common Superman book from the 90s. It's a newsstand, and somebody loved it because in the original bag, they whoever this collection belonged to in the 90s, they actually went through all their books with index cards and would mark them at the time. Okay, so whenever this book was worth $5 plus, and I know it's old because the index card is yellowed. It's pretty old, right? But anyway, I got this because it's an upgrade from the one I have. It's a newsstand edition, and it's old, and the cover is reminiscent of Watchmen. I think that's why this was like a minor to the 10th degree key there for a while, because it says who watches the Superman, who watches the Watchmen. And we got a little callback to Ozymandias down at his down in Antarctica watching all his TV screens and stuff, right? The Kryptonian man. Now, here's a book. Now, as I said with the epic comics of the 80s, the more I get into them, the more I want to go back and buy them and complete the sets because they're fantastic. With what I'm reading, we sort of have the same thing with Vertigo, even though I had access to books and stuff by the time Vertigo came out. But I was getting Sandman, Swamp Thing, Grant Morrison stuff, Doom Patrol. I'm sure I was dabbling into Animal Man and stuff like that. But the one series, and I've said this many times before, that I wished I had really jumped on was this Matt Wagner, Guy Davis. Seems like there's somebody else. Well, no, saying Matt Wagner, Mr. Grindle, if you will, Mr. Mage. I'm finding out I'm a bit of a Matt Wagner fan and didn't know it. But anyway, for you guys that were following all this stuff, I have not dabbled back into the Grindle, even though I got all those issues. Okay, still a Mage guy, right? But anyway, Sandman Mystery Theater, where we take the Golden Age Sandman and we tell pulp-inspired little novelettes is what it feels like, stories during the 1930s. And this thing is fantastic, fighting cults and serial killers and stuff in the 30s. Very grounded, yet it still has some of that superhero aspect to it and stuff. I got the Sandman Mystery Theater one shot where the Golden Age Sandman met Neil Gaiman's Sandman. And then there's a crossover with Starman that actually crossed over with this, with the Mist and everything like that. And that's where my interest was piqued. And then all of a sudden I've been trying to get them. So apparently I think this book ran for 70 issues. Grain of salt there. And after checking my cataloging, I have half of them now and 1 or 2 of the trades and stuff, right? So I was tickled to death that I ended up getting for $1 number 1. And then assorted issues 9, 11, 66, 33, whatever. They're in story arcs. They were Vertigo. This is a fantastic series. I will be getting them all as I run across them. But I'm going to reach a point where I just go ahead and probably order them online because, like I said, I feel like I'm flea marketed out. And so help me, does that not look like Ian McKellen? Okay, does that not look like Gandalf Magneto on this issue of number 53? I mean, these are just fantastic pulpy stuff, man. If you like the Shadow and the Dr. Savage pulp novels and stuff, you'll probably like this. Number 69. So yeah, it ran for 70 issues and stuff, right? Fantastic stuff. I got to head out to, oh, whoops. We got Gore Vidal here. I had a poster of Electro Assassin in my college dorm. No one on my floor read comics, but thought it was Clement or Bacon. Electro Assassin is my favorite Miller and Bill Sienkiewicz work in my top 10. Good to know. I will definitely have something to say when I sit down and read it all the way through. Fantastic. Charleston 66. Sandman Mystery 3 was fantastic. Never disappointed. Here. Sandman Mysteries Theater doesn't disappoint. Vertigo's 90s was fantastic. It's amazing how many good books came out. I still remember your Books of Magic. It does look like Ian. Oh, thank you. It does look like Ian McKellen. Thank you. Headed to the comic show. Catch the rest of Hall tonight before work. See you at Alice Cooper. Nice. Okay, now this book. I don't know how to explain this book. Again, it has stories. There was, and it's still there, Randy's Pharmacy, Richlands, Virginia, beside of the Richlands High School. This is where I would run across, before I'd get on the bus. You weren't supposed to leave school grounds unless you were like, had a note or were leaving or whatever. But I don't think, I think that was paranoia. It was a rule, but I think it was more paranoia spread across the kids to keep us in line or whatever. But I would jump the little half gate and I would run across the parking lot, run into Randy's Pharmacy. Again, he also had the magazine rack, and you never knew what you were going to have, not a spinner rack. And Randy wasn't big on comics. I ended up being friends with Randy over the years, off and on. Not so much in the last couple of years, but he's still there. That blows my mind. Anyway, but he had the X Factor where they're coming out, and that's where I got every issue of my Craven's Hunt, the Spider-Man crossover went through, right? The way I remember it, and I would get odds and ends. And I passed this up for months, for weeks, weeks. Finally got it, right? I think I sold my original X Factor run years ago in the late 90s, early 2000s on eBay. Because I kind of remember having my brother and stepdad say something like they would have bought them off if they knew I was getting on, not getting them. I'm like, well, I guess you need to pick up the damn phone and call sometime. Anyway, but I've had this book 3 or 4 times, so when it's not in my collection, I get very confused, but it's all right. I've gone back and forth. This is when Louise Simonson is well onto the book with issue 6. Butch Geist is still doing the art, which is fantastic. I think he's one of my favorites, Jackson Geist. And this is where things were starting to lead to the More Like Massacre and Walt Simonson coming on in issue 10 and stuff. This is where the X Factor book was going from a weird, where the Ghostbusters, more like Mutant Busters, Ghostbusters wannabe. And I'll show you how bad it was, right? To where Louise Simonson, who had worked with Chris Claremont, edited X-Men books and everything like that, was reining it in. But like I said, beautiful artwork. I would love to have seen an Angel miniseries done by Geist. I mean, he's just so good here, right? But let me find it. But this just kind of shows you how bad of a concept I think this book was starting out. So first we have our 2 mutants, Glowworm and the other one, right? People are freaking out in the streets. Oh my God. Glowworm even reminds me of Slimer. Okay. I don't know if that was intentional or if that was just the zeitgeist of the 80s, right? And then X Factor comes out to fight them. And the Angel hiding his wings even has a power pack. So, yeah, I'm very nostalgic for X Factor. It had a rough beginning, in my opinion. Great art. Bob Layton and them, they just weren't Chris Claremont with the mutants and stuff. And it ended up inadvertently being a little satirical of the Ghostbusters. So anyway, number 4 and 7 of Infinite Crisis. I have now learned to pick these up if I find them cheap and they're in good shape. And I found these cheap, right? I was there at Infinite Crisis every month, getting the books, always going with the George Perez covers, but every month they had a George Perez cover and a Jim Lee cover. I'm George Perez all day long. So I picked this up because it's the Jim Lee cover. I've learned that Infinite Crisis with the Blue Beetle in it. And these 2 issues are keys because they have cameos of Kathy Kane, the Batwoman, that was popping up out of DC 52 or about to pop up. I don't know. I go back and forth with people yelling keys and stuff and everything in my timeline in my head. But anyway, DC 52 was fantastic. That was the weekly series that came out that had Mark Waid. Um, oh, here we go. Mark Waid, Grant Morrison, Jeff Johns, and was it Azzarello? And it was, so, it was just fantastic. 4 storylines going on at once, everything. Oh, it was just fantastic. Anyway, so I'll grab these, but the Perez cover, I think I actually needed the Perez cover on this one. I think I needed the Jim Lee cover. But when it comes to Crisis on Infinite Earths and Infinite Crisis, I think these are kind of be safe than sorry, just going to pick up if you're into the spec and stuff, right? All right. Now, here's the great deals, right? And there's one book in here. I'm not sure how it got in the mix. Not a big deal. But this stack of comics is interesting, okay? So what we had before you, and I hate that Sumerian is left and stuff, and Gray Man, but because we're about to talk music. But in the 90s, Neil Gaiman came in and wrote a 3-issue series with Mike Zulli. I think that's how you say the name. Mike Zulli, big indie guy, Puma Blues and stuff. Caught a lot of attention doing a few Spider-Man stories and Sandman stories in the early 90s. And I'm sure there's other stuff that he's done that's not popping in my head right now, but this is an interesting thing. This is a very small book. There's a regular, well, anyway, you see how a regular comic will frame it and stuff, right? But anyway, The Last Temptation of Alice. It's called The Last Temptation of Alice. This is about redemption and everything, but it's in black and white. And what I found curious is that it's by Dark Horse. This originally came out, I think, through DC. I have 2 of the original 3 issues that came out. So I'm guessing with licensing and Alice Cooper, but it's black and white. And it's got this long forward that I didn't finish reading by Neil Gaiman. But as I skimmed it, I saw him talking about other comic book rock and roll comics, like how Kiss supposedly the 1977 Marvel Super Special, whatever it was, where it had pictures of them getting their blood drawn, and supposedly their blood was in the ink. I think that's been called out as bullshit. But anyway, just somehow Dark Horse got the licensing and put out this little black and white version of it. I know there's a hardcover out, but I think it was sort of lackluster, in my opinion. But a good reread after 20 years might be in call. And then this is the Great Hall, right? Well, we'll show. I got a couple records here. Well, how funny is that? I may not have the one I wanted to show. Anyway, this is sealed. There's 3 or 4 of these, which really amazed me. These are from the early 80s, but it's a sealed record book. Read and say, and I love these when I was a kid. I still got a stack of them. Going back to the 70s, I might have 1 or 2 I actually had when I was a kid. But this is Planet of the Hoojibs, and you can actually get on YouTube. Now check this out, guys. You could actually get on YouTube, and people have these book and record sets, cassette and record sets, and you can watch them and listen to them. The pages fade in and out with the original book and stuff. So there's no reason for me to unseal this. And apparently I missed 4 or 5 of them right before I got there, because he had 2 or 3 of these, but when he went looking for the other ones, and his wife told him she just sold them right before I got there. So there was more. For you 80s freaks out there and you Chicago fans, I ended up finding this. I'm lazy. When it comes to the 33s, I don't feel like going through there. So either you have them in the original sleeve that has the picture of the band and it says what the single is and stuff, or I just happened to catch an eye and I just flipped through there and I saw Glory of Love by Peter Cetera from the iconic Karate Kid 2. This song was played forever in that summer of 86. It went on and on. It felt like, in my mind, it was nothing but Peter Cetera, Glory of Love, and Angel by Aerosmith. I hope I'm remembering right. All right, I'm going to have to split these up because they're too close to the camera to enjoy. And guys, get ready for this. It doesn't matter if you are a huge fan of Fables or not. Well, here we go. Let me check this out. Zilli did some beautiful work on Puma Blues. He also drew Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle issues, which are unlike any other turtle books. You know, I almost want to say I saw those. That sounds very familiar. Anyway, thank you for letting me know that, Gore. Now I'm going to be doing some homework when we're done here. So, anyway, as I'm walking around, and when you're at a flea market, you want to ask people, do you have comics? Not everybody puts them out. Okay. I'm sure I have missed great stuff over time because I didn't ask everybody that I ran across because they didn't have something catch my eye. I didn't stop. But this place I stopped. I just had a feeling. So I'll go over to the guy and I'm like, he's got a bunch of pulp. He's got a bunch of little paperbacks and stuff, right? Tons of them. So I'm going through there. I just flat ask him, like, do you have comics? And he's like, no, I don't have comics. So I'm like, well, okay. I got a friend who likes an author named JT Ward. She's told me about this series of books that are worth about, one of the books is supposedly worth $800 if I run across it. So I'm like, well, I'm here. So I started looking. And I go down about 4 boxes on their table. And I look down and he's got a box full of Fables trade paperback, a few other odds and ends in there. And I'm just like, I just asked if he had comics. I guess he doesn't consider these comics. So I ended up getting, I think there's 14 trades. And after talking to him and coming at a price and everything like that, they came to somewhere between $1.50 and $1.60 a piece. Let me say that again. $1.50 to $1.60 a piece. I don't even think I gave $20 for this stuff, right? Like I said, this was yesterday. I came home and took a nap because I'm an old man. I didn't really play around too much with the math and stuff, right? So we got volume 8 of Fables, Wolves and stuff, right? And I think it is so convenient that when you come across this stuff, they just flat out tell you what issues are being reprinted on the outside because there's a lot of people not doing that anymore. So we got that trade. We got Sons of Empire, number 9. We got The Good Prince, number 10. I've been going through my boxes, and over the years, I was getting rid of Fables in my collection, right? And then all of a sudden, I started running across them, and I'm like, you know what? I think I want to start collecting them again to put them on eBay and sell them in sets. And then I ended up keeping them. I had the first 44 issues of Fables. I was there from the beginning at 2002, and I raged quit, and Rage sold the set because they were setting up to who the adversary was. The adversary is the person that is going through all the lands of these fairy tale creatures and their dimensions, or whatever you want to call it, and taking them over with his armies. And they were coming to the real world to hide and live in secret. And they were leading up to who the adversary was. And I actually, for some reason, started getting to the point that I was starting to figure out, I think it's Peter Pan or Captain Hook. Well, it came out that it was fucking Geppetto. Yes, it's a 20-year, it's a 17-year-old spoiler. Sorry, I didn't yell it out, right? But I got mad after being on this book for 3.5 years. It's Geppetto. There's places in the book that I felt like, if I remember right, I could place Geppetto in the story and where he was, and it's impossible. So I was mad, and I put him on eBay, and they sold him immediately. I got it like $100 or $125. Then a few years later, I finally read an article where Bill Willingham is interviewed about Fables. And yes, he says it was going to be Peter Pan. I was in the ballpark. And then he said what he found out is that an editor, somebody came to him and was like, you can't use Peter Pan. He's not in the public domain. He's like, yeah, he is. He's like, no, he's not. And it turns out that, I think it's over in England, that Peter Pan was written by a guy who had all the proceeds of the play and the book and everything go to an orphanage. And the courts made, an exception for this character that he will never go into public domain, and all the money made from Peter Pan will continue to go to the orphanage. So he couldn't use them. And that's why he had to do it. And I felt better about it. And I was able to be more forgiving, I guess, put my ego to the side and decide it's time to get these. So I've got about 38 issues of the original series again. And as I go through my boxes, I know I have more. That's just the ones I've been able to. I've also been going through these boxes and trying to reorganize things. And I keep finding bits and pieces of books not where they're supposed to be. Anyway, moving on. Volume 10, and this is a good thick one. That's a trade must. That's a trade. That's not 4 to 6 issues right there, man. Um, yeah, this is about 9 or 10 issues right there, man. The Good Prince. So this should be an interesting story. War and Pieces. And I think I missed an issues, volumes 12 and 13 in this. I didn't get 1 through 4, I think. This is number 12, The Dark Ages. And whenever I think Dark Ages, I immediately go to White Wolf, Vampire the Masquerade, The Dark Ages in my mind. The crossovers where Fables had a bunch of other books, like what was it? Jack of Fables. The Great Fables crossover collects all 9 issues of the once in a lifetime event originally presented in Fables 83 to 85, Jack of Fables 33 to 35, and the Literals number 1 through 3. I have literally never heard of the Literals. Anyway, so we got that one. Fables Super Team. I hope this is good. I'm trying not to judge it, but that really bothers me that he went superhero with this story. I'm sure it's handled well within the Fables. I've never heard of a Fables fans saying they hated a chapter here. Mark Buckingham, Mike Allred, Gene Ha, a bunch of other people came in and really worked on this stuff, right? I got a little collection back here on the shelf of my Fable stuff. Of course, I've got the single issues upstairs where I'm going through my boxes. Winner of 14 Eisner Awards. That's how good Fables is, guys. What is this? Inherit the Wind. A child shall lead them. For you guys that don't know, Bigby Wolf in Snow White ended up. Bigby Wolf is the wolf of Little Red Riding Hood and the 3 Little Pigs and any other fairy tale where there's a wolf. It's all the same character. His father was in a northern wind, But he and Snow White ended up getting together and having cubs, if you will, kids. So I think this is the story that I have in one of the deluxe hardbacks that came out that collects more issues than this. That kind of is centric on their kids. Yeah, Cubs in a Tornado. This continues the story. Snow White, Bigby Wolf. They just recently had a Batman meets Bigby Wolf story. I don't know what that's about. Camelot seriously coming to the end. This is number 20. Then this is the one I'm really excited to read. After this, they came out with one more trade. And then for the 150th issue, it was a trade. You had to buy it as a trade. I guess number 22. I have it up here somewhere. I found it at Ollie's for cheap. And how in the hell this got in there? I'm thinking maybe, I don't know what happened. It was a flea market. There's people around. I'm not going to read into it too much. But this thing was at Ollie's for like $3 and it stayed there forever. I don't know who finally bought it. But this is Fairest and All the Land. All these great creators on this. I'm not sure what this is. Gene Ha, Steve Dillon, Mark Buckingham, Chris Sprouse. Whatever this is Fairest. Fairest was a spin-off of it. And this is Fairest in the Land. And of course, we had the mirror from Snow White. Not sure what this is about, but I didn't want it, but it got stuck in there. The sleeve seems to be all right. Didn't really get to look into it, but I have no idea what this is about, what's in here. So that was just, there you go. All right. Man, that was, we were on here longer than I thought. All right, guys. That's it for the day. Thanks for everybody checking in with the show. Hope you're watching in the future and enjoying. I'm sure there's some other things out here that I could show, but like I said, I may be flea marketed out for the year already, man. Heroes Con is coming up June 24th to the 26th. It's about a little bit over a 3-hour drive for me, and the gas prices are so unreal. I honestly don't know if I'm going. Also been looking at parking, and the place I usually park would be $20 for the whole weekend, and now it's $28 a day. I am bitching about the money and stuff, but they're going to have people like Mike Grell there and Ron Friends and Tom DeFalco, people I've never even been around at these cons or even knew they were there. So I'm really going back and forth and what to do. And then also, like I said, we're in the summer, and yesterday at this flea market, I really felt like I was already flea marketed out. I'm so ready just to kayak and get some hiking in, and I don't think I've really been on a camping trip in probably over for a while. It's been a while. I'm probably due for a camping trip. Yes, I like the outdoors, just thus the rugged look here and the funny accent. So guys, I may end up doing a bit of topic videos. And my whole point of bringing this up is that if there is a topic or news, feel free to go to Howler Mouse on Instagram and give me a message or something. If there's something you catches your eye, maybe want to hear about or something. I don't know. Just whatever. So anyway, enjoy your day. I'm procrastinating because I do not want to go to work, but it's going to happen. And everybody be excellent to each other. Later.